Good morning, it's Vaughan at westcoatbellpottery.ca in Nova Scotia, Canada. I am going to do a few kiln unloadings in this video. I've got 3 kilns packed. One's fired already, which is this one. The other one's cooling down. And then I've got a third one just over there, which is going to go up today, and that'll finish the video. And that's all fish in that one. But I thought I would combine all 3 into one video because I do shorten it and edit it down so they're not very long when I do the kiln unloadings, but just to describe what the glazes are and the clay bodies so you get an idea of how to recreate some of these colors. So the first one is blue-green copper red, which I found on Pinterest. It's just under blue-green copper red with some oatmeal yellow on my rim there, and I'm making an entire dinner set of these colors for a customer, I just need to sign the back. I just didn't sign that one. Oh, there you go. Oh, that's because I waxed them. Yeah, there you go. So if I do that, I use a laundry marker to sign the pieces, which is supposed to go through the laundry and last a long time. That was on 516 from Pottery Supply House clay, which is a very white, smooth stoneware. This is my oven clay that I use, and this one is for apple bakers and my chicken roasters and such. And this is actually the glaze that is called Folk Art White. I did the video earlier on my oatmeals, and this is the Folk Art White glaze over the top of this dark red clay body, and it looks beautiful. And I did a little green on the rim there just to highlight the rim area, but I kept it, smooth on the inside because food looks really good on a simple plain color. But I'll give you a close-up. It's really pretty and all that. So that's a very pretty glaze. This one is raspberry, and I did this as an order. Somebody wanted a raspberry bowl, but they wanted oatmeal on the inside, which I didn't, not sure that I like that combination, but that's an order. But that raspberry glaze is in Mastering Cone 6 Glazes. I like the raspberry if I'm using it just to highlight, just to have a little accent in a piece, and I think it works really good. But not too much of it. It's one of those glazes that just doesn't have any surface interest. But oh, look at that, really nice. Yeah, that's a nice bowl. But this is a traditional one from me. I do this pattern. You can call it a pattern, I suppose. But it's dipped bright blue glaze with waxing brown that way and this way. Or was it variegated blue? No, this one was variegated blue. Okay, so variegated blue that way and swept over that way, and then oatmeal going the other direction, then slip trail a few lines in just to give yourself a little accent. Nice bowl. Okay, there's the Tenmaku Gold, and there's the little run always down the handle. I tried glazing these a lot thinner this time to try and avoid that, and I've still got a bit where the handle is. So I'm not sure. I don't like grinding that off, but I can grind it off and it's fine. But that's Tenmaku Gold, looking very gold at the bottom there, with my oatmeal over the top. And I think there's a little bit of blue on that too. I use stilts. If you're a new one to my channel, I use stilts to fire my work so that I can glaze the bottoms of the pieces, and sandpaper just rubs off that stilt mark. It's not even sharp, really. A little bit sharp, but not a lot. This is the matte turquoise, which I found this glaze recipe on the internet. And that's my yellow oatmeal over the top there. That yellow oatmeal has some stain in it, which is sunshine yellow from Mason Stains, and then just a oatmeal liner type glaze on the inside. It's very matte and on this glaze actually, but it's silky on the top, but it's a bit matte on the bottom there. I lowered the firing temperature of this kiln too, from cone 6, which is 2232 with 108 degrees going up from a 2000 to 2232. I lowered it to 2210 to see if I could stop the running that was on that one, and but it's left this glaze a bit more matte, and it almost feels a bit under fired. So I might refire that one. I can throw it in that one tonight. So, but this is my what do you call it? It's an oatmeal that I have with ferrofrit stain. I think it's called C1110 or something. It's just a yellow stain. It's a creamy yellow with the blue, green, copper, red, and then my yellow oatmeal over the top again with that sunshine yellow stain in. I feel like these are very summery beach type mugs. I'm doing a dinner set for that lady, so I did a lot of these. Now this one's nice, where the yellow oatmeal ran down the fluted lines I put on the mug. I was trying to keep the running, but lower the firing temperature a little bit to actually stop that run. And this would work pretty good, because when the glazes run, and this had a 25-minute soak at temperature, so, but look at those runs, kind of nice. This one the same with the Tenbaku Gold, with that little bit of a run right by the handle. I've thought about just rubbing the glaze off these areas before I fire them, but then you'd have some clay showing through, but I think that might be the only thing you can do, because the glaze runs up all the handle to that area. And I don't want to make the handle rough to touch either. So, but this is Tenbaku Gold with oatmeal dipped over the top, and I don't think I did any blue. Did I do any blue? Yeah, I did. I have a little dip of blue. You can see it on the inside a little bit there. My bright blue dipped over it a little bit. But the color is really good, and that's easy enough to quickly go. It's just a bench grinder that I use, and it just, in like 5 seconds, that's gone. So I can skip through these because they're just duplicates, but they're very nice duplicates. This is part of that dinner set I'm doing with those plates. So there's a lot of these in these colors. It's 12 plates in the dinner set. The fluting really makes the piece. That's very pretty. But it's very summer and very beachy. And there's another one without the fluting. They're nice too, but still looks like the beach. But I would have to say I would go with these with the fluting for the dinner set, but it's a different clay body. This is over speckle clay number 455 from Pottery Supply House. Same with this one. So the speckles come through and really make the character of the mug. Needs a big salad bowl. So this is my large salad bowl for that dinner set. Now I didn't do any decorative slip lines on this one because, or glaze lines, because this has to match that dinner set. So it's got my 2 oatmeals on it. And it will match up with the plates that I have here. So there you go. Time for a drink. These ones are experiments using a fake ash glaze that I have. And it basically just gives you the ash feel, but I like the idea of them being more functional because ash is generally not a food safe glaze, but I've got my oatmeal dipped over the top of the ash there, and I think that adds a nice quality to it with the green on the bottom. And then this is the same speckled clay, 455 from Pottery Supply House, 516 from Pottery Supply House without the speckle. This is my old yellow glaze. I have very little of this one left, but I did a few pieces just to test it because I'm looking for a glaze that was very matte yellow, which I cannot figure out how I got it for a customer. And I just have trying all my old glazes to see where I did get that one out, but this isn't it either. So this is the old yellow again, and this one is the oatmeal with over the top of the fake ash glaze. In clay, there's some mysterious things happening that, you know, you get something happen, you just don't know how you got it. And this is Tenmoku Gold again with the oatmeal, and my bright blue is my guess over there. Yeah, there's some blue on the inside a little bit. Doesn't show up too much on the outside. And you don't get much of the runs showing up with the oatmeal either. Tenmoku Gold with the oatmeal, but it really melted into the piece on these. That's another type of piece I did earlier in the year that I'm trying to recreate. There's the yellow again, old yellow. Sounds like the name of a dog. But it's a nice yellow. I'm not making it again. I've got two different yellows now. Here is a secondary bowl for that dinner set. In case the first one didn't work, I made two. I will do that for customers, sometimes let them pick their favorite, because this color combination will sell anyway. So I can actually just speculate and make a piece that nobody wants yet and all that. So, but it's very pretty. That'll be a summery salad bowl. And that clay body is 516 from Pottery Supply House 2. If you're not local in Canada, just go on the Pottery Supply, psh.ca website, and just look at the clay bodies. They should give you the specs of it so you can order one in Great Britain or wherever you are. This has to be my favorite so far. That's the folk art white with my apple green over the top, and you know, in the fluted lines there's a nice rundown. Same on this one. I did a few of these. Folk art white is a new glaze for me, but it's working so well that it will be a keeper and all that. But and as you can see, it's really consistent with my apple green, which I've posted that recipe in earlier videos too. And then this is a little sauce bottle for steaming into chicken when you're roasting chicken. Don't tell the chicken. All right. Same again, folk art white with apple green. This is variegated blue on the bottom, and then I dipped my oatmeal and my white glaze over the top, and these are the mugs that I'm using in my Icelandic series of pieces, which are supposed to be wintry pieces. So so those turned out really nice, but no fluting lines on those, so we don't get the runs going down. It's just a more even run down, but it's good because it didn't actually run off the bottom. And the final two in this kiln were the Ash Glaze, fake Ash Glaze, and that recipe is online too. Oh, I love that. Yeah, nice little blemish there from something. That's just next to the kiln elements, I guess. Very pretty and all that. So that's the end of kiln number 1. Here's your brief interlude. Sounds like the television in the 1960s and 70s. This is November 5th, and we still have impatiens, nasturtiums there, and those little leafy things are actually parsnips that are just springing up on their own. And there's some little daisies. We still have a garden, November 5th. Okay, it's part 2, kiln number 2. This is the 10 cubic foot kiln, the other one was a 7. And I put another big mug order. I sell to 4 different places really, and I usually sell anything from 24 to 84 mugs at a time to these places. So so this is for another place in Lunenburg, which is just about 14 kilometers away, I think. Anyway, that's about 8 miles, I think, so maybe 9. But anyway, this is the same firing schedule as that one, and I did a 25-minute soak at 2210, and that's Fahrenheit, and but the same ramp up. I'll give you that quickly now. It's 200 degrees to 1020, then 125 degrees from 1020 to 1140. And then 200 degrees from 1140 to 2000, and then 108 from 2000 to 22, usually 32, but this time 2210. Soak for 20 minutes, 25 minutes usually in that range, and then down at 200 degrees an hour to 1750 with another soak for 30 minutes to get the crystals developed. And the slower you cool it down there, the more crystals you'll get too, from 2210 down to 1750. Slow cool gives you more crystals. Anyway, so let's see what we have this time. This is one that wasn't in the other firing. This is that new dark blue glaze that I have with the oatmeal over the top, and then the green on the bottom there as well. It's kind of warm in here. I've got another kiln started now, the one with all the fish in it. That's the one that didn't, yeah, it's better in this kiln. A bit longer soak maybe. So that's my matte turquoise with the yellow oatmeal over the top. Most of these glazes are on Pinterest or on Mastering Cone 6 glaze book. This is variegated blue with my, I don't know if it was dark blue or bright blue over the top with a bit of oatmeal on the rim. So an oatmeal on the bottom. The oatmeal is good for the bottoms because the stilt marks don't show up. Ah, stilt marks, that's right. Somebody keeps asking, not one person, but many people have asked about the grinding, and it's not that hard. You can go with this route with a grinder on the end, and then just do that. And that's all it takes, and now you can, it's soft, there's no sharp. Oh, sorry. Of course, I should have gone to the emergency room then maybe, but anyway, if I did that and it was sharp, I'd have blood all over the place. So that's the simple version to go. Let me quickly move you over here. I have a bench grinder with a rough and a smooth grinder on it, and all you do, this is very noisy, I don't want to turn it on, but you just do the rough and then the smooth. It takes about the same amount of time, and if you've got a big glaze rug, then basically you need this bench grinder. But if you've only got little stilt marks, the regular hand drill is enough. So I would just go that route. But if you're getting lots of glaze runs, you have to get one of these. They're about $100 from the local hardware store here. Okay, see, we're in the same place. Yep. Take my sweater off. Yeah, I'm preheating that kiln at the moment, and this one's cooling down, so I've got 2. But you know, they're a little rough. But depending on the glaze, if you find an opaque glaze that you can put on really thin, then that's the one to use for your base, because it actually you don't need a thick coating, you just need a very thin coating, and it will cover up the clay quite easily. Anyway, Tenmoku Gold with oatmeal dripping down. This is the Icelandic series. Oh, there's one. I'm going to have to use the rough bend grinder. It's always this glaze as well, but variegated blue or this oatmeal over the mouse brown. Those ones seem to run quite a bit. So I'll grind that one off roughly and it'll be fine. And if you don't like it, you just fire it upside down in the next firing and it will melt back down. So let's put these separate. I got a few of those in here, so yep, there's another one like that. This is one variegated blue that usually does that, but I glaze it now knowing that it does that, so I'm going to have to start doing that to that glaze. This is my regular bright blue, which over the speckled clay tends to go a little green, turquoisey green almost, but and then dark blue and oatmeal over that. That's very nice. But there's no of the runs down in the fluted lines. And there's another one of those with the mouse grey that did run. They didn't, this is the longest soak. In that kiln I only did a 10-minute soak I think, and this one maybe a 25-minute soak, so that's the difference. I'll press my ramp review and see what I did. Yep, this one didn't do it, it was starting but it didn't get down low enough. So that one's very nice, mouse grey with oatmeal over the top. And while I'm doing this, I should give a quick mention. I just got some great photos from one of the subscribers, a man called George Fleming from the east coast of Scotland. Very nice pieces. Yeah, that's great. You're hand building, I think, those big vessels, but they're really good. And I love the imagery. And it's almost got a, I would call it maybe a Scottish, since I think you're self-trained, maybe a Scottish folk potter. But that's terrific, and I was very impressed with it. Maybe if I can, I'll email you and I'll post a picture of one or two of them at the end of this video. Anyway, there you go. So George Fleming, and happy birthday October 27th. All right, I think you're retired now, so that's great. You know, retirement is, I wonder, yeah, I'm not retired. I'm 67 in January and I'm not retired yet, so I feel like I'll never retire because I love what I'm doing, and I think you're now loving what you're doing as well. But anyway, happy birthday on October 27th. And back to pots. Tenmoku Gold. I'm going to slow the cooling down in the next, I'm going to reduce the soak almost immediately. I can tell I have to reduce the soak and slow the cooling down. This one is my, let's see, regular bright blue, and then I got some oatmeal on the bottom, and then dark blue and oatmeal on the top. I always run out of space. And that's my matte turquoise with the yellow oatmeal over speckled clay, number 455 stoneware from Pottery Supply House. Supplies are hard to get at the moment. It's slow getting everything. I'm sure it is in England as well, Scotland too, but just, I guess you're having truck driver issues. We're on the northeastern edge of North America, and everything takes longer to get here anyway. But so that's oatmeal over dark blue. That's nice. It's starting to do the run too. The longer the soak at peak temperature, the more runs you'll get. So in some ways it's good, but then you've got to figure out how to not get the runs down on that handle area. This is bright blue over speckled clay, which is why it's going that greeny color, with dark blue and oatmeal over the top. I kind of like that coloration. The dark blue is brand new. Bright blue, dark blue and oatmeal. The bright blue is out of Mastering Code 6 Glazes. I think they call it floating blue in that book. Dark blue, oatmeal, and possibly variegated blue, maybe in that one, but I think it was just the oatmeal. Oh, this is one where the stilt actually got ran on as well, so I'll use a chisel to get this one off. There you go, it came off anyway, but I've got to grind these. But turning them upside down and firing them upside down is another way of doing it, firing it lower to cone 5 on a stilt on the inside of the pot, and then the bubbles all melt out. So I'll probably end up grinding most of it off. That one's not going to get refired because it's just one little bump. Because that's really pretty. Look at that. But, so those two are just going to get a bit ground off, and the other 3 will get refired. Variegated blue with bright blue and oatmeal over the top. This is a standard for me, and I've resolved the running on this glaze. But every one of these gets a little bit of grinding. Tenmoku Gold, that's the one that was in the other firing that was doing this too, just where the handle is. And I just ground those all off and they're fine. Do I have one of those there? There you go. This was in the last firing and it's ground off now. See, totally flat and doesn't hurt it at all. So that's what we'll get done to this one. So minimal grinding, I'll just do it. But if it's a lot, then I'll just refire the piece. But you always have to refire to a lower temperature because glazes mature. These are all Tenwaku gold with oatmeal and blue over the top. The maturity lowers a little bit each time you fire a glaze. So you have to refire to a slightly lower temperature. And you put a stilt on the inside and use a kiln support inside the pot to hold it upside down above the kiln shelf. Matte turquoise and my yellow oatmeal. You can see the yellow on the inside there, right? But over the turquoise, it gives you that really, really nice green. Speckled clay, 455 Pottery Supply House with bright blue, dark blue, and oatmeal. You can get an oatmeal. I gave you all those recipes in the previous video on oatmeals. And there was several beautiful glazes that I now use. The SMO satin matte oatmeal I think was really good, and the folk art white is gorgeous. Bright blue, dark blue, and oatmeal. Right, I just took the kiln shells off and I was refiring one of these kiln shells. Why would I do that? I broke this. Let's get it close to you. Maybe you can still see it. There's a crack in the middle there. You can see it all the way around. Maybe the light catches it like that. So it dropped on the floor, it broke. And then I thought, these are not cheap. I have a jar of this. Duncan Specialty Product SY545 Patch Attach. If I can give you that, you can screenshot it. This will stick clay back together if it's been broken in the greenware stage. And I thought, well, I wonder if it does bisque as well. So I tried it and it does. A kiln prop. And it worked. I mean, it's solid. You know, so basically you can save your kiln props if you break them and all that. So another trick. I'm always breaking kiln props. I mean, you can see I load stuff on the edge of the kiln and then you elbow. Anyway, shouldn't be doing that, I guess. This one ran. There's a little bit there, so I'll have to grind that off, but it's not bad, so I can probably grind that off and save it because, wow. That's the problem. You get the runs, but of course you've got to be really careful because they actually run all the way off the kiln. And that's why I like these kiln shells, because it never sticks to the shelf. You just have to grind a bit off the edge at the bottom. And look at the inside. Whoa. And it's singing to me. I'm not sure if you can hear it or not. Tink, tink. Because there's a lot of different glazes there. But look how far it ran. I mean, I only glazed the upper part of these, but the upper half, and it runs all the way to the bottom. But runs are great. You just have to make sure you've used these kiln shells if you're going to glaze at the run, because it just lifts right off the shelf. It doesn't even attach them, because they used to stick to the shells and crack whenever this was happening. But that's a gorgeous bowl. I am definitely grinding that, and just it'll be fine. And there's the Tenwaku gold with my signature, which I always like because it actually is upside down, I guess. It turns gold. It's a black underglaze, and in the firing it turns gold, which I think is really nice. Okay. More of that glaze combination. I'm going to make a note of that one, it runs a lot. It's got 3 glazes on there, that's why. But all of these will maybe I'll just refire them. I'll just knock off the sharp bit, but I'm just going to fire these upside down. Maybe even cone 4 would work for refiring these. I think I'll try that too. And that one's stuck on there. Refire. Just grind off any sharp bits and then refire. Oh, this one too. All of them did it. So that combination of 3 glazes, I did mouse grey, and then I dipped oatmeal, swished it round to about the halfway point, and then my white glaze to about 1/3 of the way down to give that kind of snow effect. It just runs too much. So 3 glazes is usually pretty dangerous. I've always told my students we should do 2 glazes, but as soon as you get into 1/3, you've got to do what I did here Still ran, but this one I timed better, and I didn't glaze as far down, so maybe I should only be glazing down a third of the way if I'm going to do this again and all that. So because this one worked fine, so that's probably what I did to it. But look, it's always the handle, because the handle gathers glaze on the inside and just runs around the bottom of the handle and all that. But that one was just timed right. These are my winter snow mugs. Oh, here's a good combination. Speckled clay, let's get away from it. Speckled clay and white stoneware, and the same two glazes, same three glazes actually. Both of my yellow oatmeals and the matte turquoise. This one is much brighter, obviously. Oh wait, this is the refire bunch. Another dark blue, another one of the, oh, number 16 glaze. I have a glaze I call number 16. That's probably what that is, with dark blue and oatmeal over the top. Both dark blues, really nice. That dark blue glaze is basically my blue, green, copper, red recipe with 2% cobalt oxide in it instead of whatever I use, half a percent or something to get the turquoise. Well, I don't do the tin either, you know. So, but anyway, dark blue, variegated blue. These are looking nice for the winter bugs. Maybe instead of the mouse grey, I should just move over to doing this one because it doesn't run at all. I watered down that glaze so it doesn't soak into the pot as much. The water goes in when there's not as much suspended glaze in the water. So that's why it's not running anymore. I just had, the glaze was too dense. And that's why in earlier videos you see the variegated blue was running quite a bit. There's a Tenriku Gold with one little drip to grind off. These ones can save easily. No firing of those. This time of the year I need a kiln firing to keep the place warm. But it was down to 0 centigrade last night. Okay, I just took the shelf off and then decided to quickly grind these pieces. So these are now totally flat. Those are the two that was barely anything running down. So these ones now sit totally flat on the table, and that was just like, you know, half a minute's grinding on each piece basically. But I wish it wouldn't run like that, but to get these runs to be so spectacular, that's the risk you take. Yeah, I got 5 that I have to refire, and I just ground off the nasty bits on them, and I'll actually turn them upside down and fire them again. These are just planter bases using my folk art white, and I got some planters somewhere for those. And then the rest is a dinner set. Well, just the plates. I'm doing a complete dinner set with bowls and plates, and so I've got a bunch of small plates to fire yet, and then it's finished. But this is, I made about 24 of these. They want 12. So I'm going to have basic extras, I guess. Ooh. There you go, so there's more of them. This is the blue, green, copper, red with my yellow oatmeal on the rim. They're nice. The oatmeal is creamy, and I sponged it on. I've tried the last 12 I made, I dipped just to get it in the rim, but I didn't think it was that nice. This is nicer, I think. So tried a different way of doing it. This color always sells, so I don't mind making extra pieces when I'm doing this color, because I've actually sold a lot of pieces this summer in this color combination. Yeah, and the kiln props stick to the bottom of the shelves sometimes. That's what happened there. you're lucky when they don't fall off onto your piece. Since I had 12 of these exactly, these are about 10.5, 11-inch plates. Another, so they're very, very close to the same each time. Ah, the top one was a little bigger than the rest. Oh, there we go. Instead of 12 plates. This is that bowl. I just ground off the bottom, so it's now fine. You can see where I ground it off a little bit. And I add a little bit, as another trick. If you got something like you have to do a little grinding and it's a little rough, I get some thin epoxy glue and I just smear it across the area, and that makes it totally smooth, and it's on the foot area, so I don't think it matters too much. But that is a gorgeous bowl. Nearly went again. The blue faded out almost totally, so I got to think about that, because I'd like to get some blues in these too. The oatmeal and the Tenmoku gold, little raspberry from Mastering Cone 6 Glazes for the accent. Just give you that pink color, but the blue is almost gone. So that Tenmoku gold soaks that glaze in completely, and the gold is where it's in the bottom there. And because of the signature thing that I do, I've actually in my head wondered if I should lightly spray some black underglaze, just with just a little mist of one of those things. You could spray some on the piece. I wonder if that would increase the number of speckles. But anyway, nice bowl. So that is number 2. The next one is just pretty much all fish. And hi, this is kiln number 3. So I've done 3 firings in 3 days. When I do the gas kiln, it's a 24 cubic foot kiln. This is a 7, that's a 7, and that's a 10, 24 cubic foot. So it takes 3 kilns to load it in electric before I get to what I could have done in a gas. And I don't know what's more efficient, but maybe if Nova Scotia will change over to hydro energy, which is supposed to be happening, then it becomes totally green, of course. But anyway, we'll see. Electric would be better at that point. In here I have a whole bunch of just experiments as far as, it's another oatmeal white glaze that I have, and I just did a set of 4 bowls in the sort of creamy white. I don't do white very much, but it's got a light speckle to it, so it's kind of nice. This is a simple white. It's kind of in the realm of that Icelandic series, and these are those, funny rim bowls. But the Icelandic series that I've done has been doing really well in the greys, and the plate with the kind of Icelandic ice flow type thing going on. You'll see in that video about the plates. These I think would look really good just as a simple bowl sitting on top of that. So I thought I'd try it, because people often just like minimal things rather than highly decorative. So I did a set of flower jars for a commission, and then I got some more carved mugs behind those on the last kiln there, black and white carved mugs. So a lot's been going on in the studio. This is that refired piece from the other one, and it's sort of the same, I think, and it's a silky matte, so it's not horrible, but I was hoping it would go a little shinier down here, but I kept a short soak. I think this needs a longer soak, but the top is really pretty. That's a very nice look. But and the rest of this I think is mostly fish. Let's hope I don't have any cracks. Okay, there's one. And I've been sponging these fish. I've been dipping them before this, but this time I decided to just sponge with glazes to get more variation. So that one's kind of nice. Here's another one, the same turquoise sponge, but with sort of blue, like high contrast I'm aiming for. And I'm also sponging so I'm not going into the crevices, so which I think is kind of nice because it makes those stand out more as well. Okay, there's another one. Yeah, the sponging works well. I probably will continue to do that rather than the pouring that I've been doing up to this point. That one's my favorite so far. You can see the texture with the stamp all the way along. That's really pretty. I like that one the best. That's the dark blue glaze with the green and brown. That's a good combo. So, wow, I like that a lot. Another turquoise. The turquoise is the most popular color. And that's why I just took a whole dinner set order for it. But, yeah, these fish are going outside later on. It's going to be cold. They're all 147 degrees. They're going outside and they'll be 32 degrees once they cool off. Variegated blue, my apple green, and I think something else is on the apple green there, but and then the brown, waxing brown out of Mastering Cone 6 Glazes. That's quite nice, but I like the other one better. Which green is? That's the apple green, but it has almost like, I wonder if I sponged, I bet I sponged yellow sort of faintly over this one. That's also a very successful color combo. But yeah, I think I dabbed some yellow lightly over it to fade it, because with the dabbing on the sponge, it's much easier to control. Oh, this is nice. This is my matte turquoise, which actually could be matte turquoise and apple green on the other one too, dabbed together. But that turned out very pretty too. Good contrast. Yeah, I think I like the fact that I'm using that dark blue now and that brown. And this, I think, is matte green, matte turquoise and apple green again. You know, you can see there's a little bit, it could be the yellow though, I may have just used the yellow, I'm not sure. The yellow would lighten the green too, but there's another one, good contrast too. And that's my slop blue glaze there, which I could never reproduce, but it's quite nice. It's got a shine to it. It's where I threw all my glaze scraps when I had a bunch of blue glazes at one point I was playing with, and I just mixed them all together. And I use it for more accents and decorative. But I have 2 or 3 buckets of that, so I've got to try and figure out how to use it up faster. But what to do with old glazes, eh? But I never throw them out because they're toxic in the environment, so I just use them in pieces. And I know I've got two different blues because of that, and I think it's working well in the fish. There you go. So that is it for the third kiln. So all of these were lower than cone 6 by about 20 Fahrenheit. So instead of 2232, I did 2210. And I did a 15-minute soak. And it could have been a little hotter. I think that's my next thing, except for because I got some runs with the mouse grey Tenriku gold. I need to glaze thinner with those glazes if I'm going to increase the firing temperature. And that happened with the variegated blue. If you remember, I had a lot of glaze runs with that at one time, and I thinned it down with water so it doesn't absorb as much onto the pots, and it's much better. So I'm going to do the same with the Tenriku gold. In fact, I've got a new batch to mix up. And I will do it with the mouse grey as well, except for that one I had 3 layers on. So maybe I just need to glaze a little less of the other 2 layers, because mouse grey on its own is quite okay. But anyway, that's cone 5.5 maybe, I guess. Yeah. So this is November 7th. I'll post this video probably within a week. You know, just stay safe and enjoy the fall while the colour's here. It's starting to look a little dull. All right, take care. Bye-bye.